troubled by strange noises in the middle of the night.
Welcome to the SLUSH podcast, the only place on the internet where we cover Ghostbusters to baby diapers and everything in between.
This is episode, we just had a huge conversation with this, 45 of the SLUSH podcast. We're almost at 50, guys. Today we're going to be talking about all things Starship Troopers, or at least just a broad generalization, including the novel, the movie, maybe the cartoon if we have time, but we're horrible for staying on track, so...
True.
There's a cartoon?
Oh, yeah.
If we survive this, great.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a multi-part thing because, like, you know, the book and the movie, the first ones, and, like, there's a lot of depth there.
I've never seen the sequels or the cartoon stuff at all.
So, let's start off right from the source material. Matt, hold it up. Starship Troopers by Robert Heinlein. The movie and the book are drastically different other than names and planets.
It's true.
Coincidentally, that book is actually a birthday present we all gave to Matt.
It's true. Thanks, guys.
It's true.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. Here's your little autographs in it. Happy birthday.
I think I'm the only one that wrote something Starship Troopery in it.
Did you write? No. I think Cody wrote Do You Want to Know More?
Oh, okay.
And then you wrote Service Guarantees Citizenship. Sully's says Yeah Boy, like with an I. So.
And this is why Sully does not get past the desk.
Yeah. I was trying to think of, like,
turn around and go.
All I think was the Neil Patrick Harris. Like, I can't think of anything Starship Troopers right now.
Oh my god, I forgot he was in that. I was rewatching the movie last night and I was like, what the fuck? This is nothing. Like not even remotely close.
If you had written Suit Up from, like, How I Met Your Mother, that would have been closer.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, hey, but I was scared about that, man. I was trying to make it How You Met Your Mother. I don't know, man.
You know what? I never even noticed this before until now, but it says the controversial classic on the top of this in little letters. I never noticed it.
It's very, very controversial.
It was super controversial.
Yeah. Now, Cody, you served in the forces, right?
Fuck no. Pardon me.
Okay. I did. When you get put on to get some bars, which means you get to be a commissioned officer, you go through, believe it or not, almost like a moral and philosophy class. And the sergeant who was running mine actually recommended we all read Starship Troopers because of the description of leadership in it. So
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if they still push it or not, but I bought it. I read it like 7 million times so far.
Turns you all into a bunch of fascists. And...
They're not fascists. They're globalists.
I just poking fun.
See, that's the thing, right? Everybody who's a critic, even like critics who are like big time critics, seem like they all have different opinions on the book and what the author meant by it. Does anybody actually know from the author what he meant by all this?
He's talking about putting your personal wants aside for the betterment of everybody rather than
betterment.
Yeah, I think there's some value into maybe diving a little bit into Heinlein.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God yeah.
Because what they recommend, what they have in their world is you have to do 2 years of federal service, which doesn't mean the military, but there's a lot of countries on our planet that do that now.
Yeah.
Some of them are forced, some not forced. Some of them are required at a certain age. Some of them are completely voluntary. But they don't get anything special out of it. Like in the book, you can't vote unless you've served, because then you understand what your vote means.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I got about to page 200, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stop and go on Google and see what people think of this, because this is so far. Like, there's the movie, and then there's the book, but then there's also like the book is so different from what I thought it was going to be. Like it wasn't really Starship Troopers, like Starship Troopers. It was just kind of like the philosophy of the evolution of war keeping humanity going. And like, I was like, what the fuck am I reading? Like, this is crazy.
I feel like the book was written to describe, you know, like, put it, like I said, literary servicing citizenship. But Paul Verhoeven's version of the movie would be like if Zach Brannigan from Futurama was in charge of them and just kept sending wave after wave after wave after wave after wave of men at the bugs.
You gotta remember, like Heinlein, he served in the U.S. Navy. Like I think he only did like 5 years, and then he got like a medical discharge for like tuberculosis. And like he really treated like writing books as like, this is how I pay the rent. And he, like is it like The Cat That Walks Through Walls? Like he like the lead character that is like a writer who often talks about, I don't give a shit about literature. I'm just trying to pay my bills.
Which is the
like,
best way probably to write, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think like Heinlein was probably like pretty disenchanted with like, you know, I think he went to officer school, and you know, I think it was Reagan, and Reagan decided to halt all nuclear testing. And
Heinlein wrote the book way before Reagan was ever president, though.
He was like 59, right? The book came out.
Hold on, I'm pulling up his biography. Yeah. My God, the man looked old.
But whatever president was that halted nuclear testing, Heinlein was like unhappy about that, and actually stopped writing "Stranger in a Strange Place" so he could write Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
to justify his opinion on nuclear warfare.
Yeah, and it was it was marketed as like an adolescent book, but it like superseded that completely. Like was not an adolescent. I mean, I guess it's a coming of age book fit in there as well. From Rico.
Well, I think it actually, because like Heinlein had written like books for kids, and I think Starship Troopers was the book that made him like leave that publisher.
So Robert Heinlein was actually discharged in 1934 from the Navy because of tuberculosis. So he actually missed World War II completely.
What a guy.
Yeah, and he did have some run-ins with Reagan along the way. We should have done some research here.
I did research too. I don't know. I thought we were gonna. What I'm the most like what I took away from Starship Troopers in general. Like I couldn't even finish the movie last night because it's so far. I love the movie.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the coolest movies I've seen, like from the 90s. But after reading the book, I was just like, it's almost like. It's weird because the book is so heavy, like where they talk about like how you have to like hit kids to discipline them, and like they give all these reasons as to like why it's bad if you don't hit kids. I was like, what is he serious? Like what is happening here?
I think he's more advocating for the fact that punishment needs to be out there so that way people understand that there are consequences. You don't just get the and off you go.
Yeah, I think that I think that he's fucking crazy, to be honest. Like I thought that it was a pretty extreme, like as like literature. I think it's really good, and I think it's a really good book. But like I don't agree with like most of the stuff he's saying because it's and you have to remember
horrible. Back when he wrote it, it was corporal punishment was the thing. Like you did that. You spanked your kids. You know, they gave people the chair.
You know what was wild for me? Like, because I did manage to squeeze in 2 listenings of the audiobook before the podcast.
Only 2?
How lusty Heinlein is. Like, he's always talking about women and like...
Yeah.
Like, he's like,
right?
Yeah, they're super smart. But like, you know, like, I don't know. It's a weird, like, objectifying. And then when I watched the movie today, it's almost like they recognize that and they're like, no, like... women are just people in this world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, the co-ed shower scene should tell you that right there.
I think that's such a great scene because I'd never seen that in a film before when I was a kid, and I was like, "What? Well, it really broke some walls down.
I don't know if they did it in the third one just to say they did something similar. So they did something very similar in the third movie.
Dizzy is like in the book for like a sentence or something. It's crazy.
And it's a dude. It's a dude. He gets dragged.
Also, when they talk about like the military guys wearing the earrings, they get into like some like bizarre dialogue where he's like, "Listen, I'm not gay, but like these guys are like really nice and attractive with these earrings." And I'm like, I flipped back to the copyright date and I was like, 59. Okay, like I'm just trying to put myself in the mindset of somebody reading it back then and then being like, "Wow, what?" It was just crazy.
It's like imagine how like in the 50s how they thought the future was going to be.
What does that have to do with the sexy man earrings?
Maybe he thought that men would be more.
I just am pointing out that it's interesting because he talks about women as being like these crazy, unobtainable like birds, you know. And then he's like the sexy man earrings, you know. I don't know. And then with the hitting kids and like you have to have war to have evolution of mankind. I was like, what the this is like a whole bunch of different bizarre opinions filtered through some kind of a science fiction coming of age novel. It was really bizarre. It was not what I was expecting, which was fun. It was just not what I was expecting at all.
You know what's like really interesting is how poorly like those ideals aged, but like at the same time, like the idea of like the mechanized armor suit.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people like speculate or like a lot of people like give Heinlein some credit of being like he's the guy that came up with that idea that people have been chasing ever since.
And it's like a footnote in the book. He's just like, we have armored power suits, you know. They don't really like
but he describes them like in great detail.
He does, but it's not like a big main thing, which is why I can see why they don't have them in the movie and budgetary reasons.
And they don't talk about like it's on to like the very like chapter 13 where he talks about like, oh, these guys are in scout suits, and it's like there's different type of suits. Like that's a really interesting part of that whole dynamic.
Yeah, the suits are cool. I picture them like live, die, repeat, but I don't think they're like that, right?
No, it's like fully encased armor.
I saw a photo of like some maquette, a full size one somebody made that looked pretty crazy, but I couldn't find much other stuff about them. Like, are they in the Starship Troopers sequels, the movies?
In the third one, they're called Marauders.
But they're also in the cartoon. Like in the cartoon, like not everybody, because like the cartoon builds off the TV show or off the movie. Yeah. But like they have like 5 dudes in their platoon are like in mechanized suits, and they're in different suits.
Yeah. Crazy. So they're like the mobile infantry. They're like the armored division for the mobile infantry, which. Watching the movies and watching all those men just kind of rush onto the surface of Clendathu with no armor, no. Oh, geez, did he go to sign up?
Infantry made him the man he is today.
What just happened?
Wow,
we lost Sully.
Sully's gone.
Sully just quit.
Wow. Maybe he went to enlist. But like watching them like fall like. Just rush man after man after man onto Clendathu, and no armor, no artillery, nothing. Just wave after wave of men out there, and I'm like, they're gonna die no matter what. Like, there's nothing. They haven't bombarded the surface of the planet first or anything.
Yeah. That was, I don't know. It's weird knowing they have the power suits in the novel, but in the movie they're just like, we're just gonna send some guys out with some guns. It's crazy.
With plastic armor.
Yeah.
I think they were trying I think they made a conscious decision. They're like, that's not what we're trying to do in this movie. Like we're making this like a political commentary. You know what I mean? And so like they willingly left that behind.
Well, I think that's why when Verhoeven made the movie, all of the officers' uniforms are all gray and black to kind of go with that fascist group from the 30s and 40s that we're not allowed to talk about anymore.
We're not allowed to talk about them.
Yeah, because we're not. You not see them.
Do you want to know a terrible nifty factoid? Those costumes, wardrobes, those uniforms were designed by Hugo Boss.
Really?
Oh,
wow.
Whoa.
I might be wrong. But
Sully, did you go and sign up? Are you gonna do your 2 years?
I'm doing my part. What are you guys doing? I left in the middle of the podcast, dude.
So out of all of you, I'm the only one that's done time.
Yeah, I will never do that.
Like, we've all done the books now. Sully, what's your takeaway from the movie? Like, did you like the movie?
Oh, rewatching it was definitely like a taste for like, damn, some of the special effects they do are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially with the blood and gore that they do. Even like the minimal CGI plays so well with when they doing the actual fight scenes.
When they pick up the reporter and like the first 2 weeks of the movie, they bifurcate the reporter. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. Movie, it's kind of spoiler. It just kind of leaves it a cliffhanger.
But it's not really a cliffhanger. Well, like I guess it technically is, but there's there's 2 more movies that are kind of canon. And but the animated stuff gets weird. Like it's technically canon, but it's like
it's just their tech gets better as they go.
It's like that Final Fantasy movie that has nothing to do with Final Fantasy.
Within.
Yeah, let's go.
But
can we just talk Final Destination instead of Final Fantasy? I don't play those games.
That's the point. It's not even the game. They're aliens and ghosts.
Yeah,
the movie is literally nothing based off the games at all. It's so bizarre.
it looks pretty. But that's what
It's just the guys at like Square Enix was like, "Yo, we got really good at making cutscenes. Let's just make a movie. Fuck it."
What
But yeah,
happened to Final Fantasy? What happened here?
I have no
We're
idea.
sidetracked
Final-
again. We need
Yeah.
a sidetrack jar.
That's true. I'll start one.
Here, look. I got the first dollar. I'm
Oh
in.
my god, I'm scared now. Yeah.
Dude, you know, like, the special effects in that movie still hold up.
Yeah.
Like the CGI is wild in that.
And it's weird. It seems like such a weird MTV generation movie, like rewatching it, because they have like the kids at the party at the beginning in high school, and he's like, "Fuck you, Dad! I'm gonna do what I want," and just shit like that. But then you get into like the war stuff, and it looks so good. They did such a good job, and I think that I remember seeing it in the theater and like thinking, "Man, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. Like this is insane." And they never really did something like that again.
Well, they marketed the shit out of that movie for the first couple of months. Like, you talk about the MTV generation. I remember them promoting it on MTV or Much Music, like every other commercial.
They had Song 2 by Blur, I remember,
Exactly.
in the TV previews.
And it wasn't in the movie.
Yeah, I remember everybody was like, "Yeah, Blur at Starship Troopers," and then it wasn't in the movie, and you're like, "Oh man, what the fuck?" Okay, I'll go see it.
Dude, you want to know something wild? Like, I don't know if we can throw names up, but have you ever worked with Jesse Fothrop? He was like a production type.
I know him, but I don't know him personally.
So like he's like a family friend, and like I remember being like a little kid and him being like a teenager, and like they had Starship Troopers and they were like, "Watch this," and like, dude, I wasn't even like 11 yet.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it was in grade 7 when that came. Was it 1997 when the movie came out? I feel like it was.
Yes, it was.
I think I told you guys this before, but I saw it with a youth group. It was crazy.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Everybody didn't go see it, but we were on the bounce. And I went to see it with the minister, and the minister took me, and I was like, wow, like this is just, because you guys know right off the get-go from just rewatching it, it's like mega violent from the beginning, and I was like, youth group is amazing, I'm gonna do this all the time. But yeah, that was my experience.
It's actually funny, where we're talking about that. My parents basically let me watch whatever I want because they knew I wasn't like, like if I watched a movie where like there's a big shootout, I'm not gonna pick up a gun and start shooting people. So like one of the first movies they ever let me watch on my own was RoboCop. Verhoeven dropped there. No second thoughts about it. Total Recall. I think my entire childhood was developed by Paul Verhoeven.
That's fair. I can see that. Mine too. And Ninja Turtles.
Because after that, my favorite movie was Showgirls.
I've never seen it. That like ended his career pretty much, didn't it? Or Hollow Man did.
Do you want to borrow my special edition?
Oh boy. I'm kind of scared. I heard it's like not as bad. Not to sidetrack this completely, but it's on the Criterion channel now. Like people are like, is it horrible?
It's a horribly written movie.
No stop motion.
That poor girl's career will never recover.
She was on the new class. Sorry, what were you saying, Cody?
No, you're good. I was just gonna say, like, I think in the 2010s, like, somebody was actually talking about doing like a more book accurate Starship Troopers.
They should.
Yeah, the problem, dude, there's so much popular culture overlap now. Oh, like I remember watching Starship. Solid. No, I remember being in residence and watching Starship Troopers, and one of the guys being like, "This is where Halo came from. Like, this is Halo."
Yeah, I could see.
Not wrong. And then more recently, Helldivers. Like people were like, "This is just Starship Troopers," and they couldn't get the copyright.
Well, yeah, I mean, because they orbital drop and the pods
and literally fighting bugs. Like it's like it's so close.
They should do something. Like I don't know what the holdup is. You guys know? Is it in like a development hell thing situation?
No, I think what happened is there's just so much crap out there right now. The studios don't want to spend more money.
But also, like Starship Troopers, the movie was like banned in a lot of countries, so I think there's like reluctance to get. Like the movie has like people forget the satire in the movie, so they take it as like this pro-fascist thing, and that has like banned it from a lot of places.
Which is crazy because even in the opening of the movie, with the kid is like, "I'm doing my part," and all soldiers are like, "Ha ha ha!" Like clearly it's a satire, you know? Like,
But their universe, like guns are so prevalent. Like they're sitting there passing these assault rifles around to the kids, and they're handling the bullets, and like you can't do that now. You couldn't do that.
no.
Well, dude,
Right?
it's wild. Like I don't know. Anybody that looks at that movie and thinks it's anything but satire is like, it's like looking at the Bare Naked Ladies and being like, oh, they can't be an appropriate music group. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
And then they put out a kids album.
Yeah, it's just.
I always thought like Starship Troopers, and maybe it's just because of the way I saw things. I thought I'm not promoting fascism. I'm just saying that the way that they run their universe seems kind of to make some sense, because it shows everybody's doing their part. No, like the civilians don't have anything taken away from them, but you know.
It sounds like
Oh.
Elon Musk was whispering into my ear for that entire book. It was freaky. Because that's what he thinks everything should be run like, I think. That's what I got out of it. That was my takeaway.
Oh, we're having issues.
Yeah.
We got Sully back.
We got Sully. We got Cody.
Yeah, I think actually like if we compare, now we're getting into crazy territory. If you compare the Starship Troopers movie to the Halo universe, I think the Halo universe is probably actually closer. We're like everything within like close proximity, manageable proximity to Earth is manageable and everything's great. But like think about all the sci-fi stuff we do. Like same thing with Firefly. Like within the inner circle, everything's great.
Yeah.
But once you start expanding to all these outer planets, like those are the planets that are like dissatisfied, and we just never got there with Starship Troopers.
And then you get cannibal zombies.
Well, even in Starship Troopers, they say they don't know what's going on, right? At a certain point, they're like, we don't even know what's happening anymore. Like,
well, if you when you get to the third movie, you can tell like the farm planets, which are on the outer rim, they are just sick to death of all the news and propaganda and stuff, and they have to associate with all the Federation's officers, and it's like, you know, they're just like, oh, we don't want to listen to that crap, guys. Come on, sign up, do your part. Like you can tell there's two different worlds going on there. Like the guys who are just trying to make a living, and then
even in the book, there's like, remember, like they get in the fight with those merchant sailors,
and they break their knives. Yes.
Yeah, and like that's like, so not everything's hunky dory here. Like obviously there's some level of like dissatisfaction.
But you get that in any civilization. There's always going to be people that don't like the way things are going.
Totally. But just to say, like, oh, like this is like this utopian society. Like there has to be undertones there. Of like it's just not.
I thought it sounded awful. I was like, this is horrible. I hope we never end up like this ever.
What better? David Bowie, like futuristic David Bowie music, communal showers, you know, all the food you can eat. I'm in. Sign me up.
I think that
I'd like to know more.
I think it's a really cool novel. I think that it's interesting. I think that he's crazy, but I think that it's an interesting novel, you know?
Yeah.
It's like Arthur C. Clarke. There's some really crazy ideas that he has written, and his books are great, but I don't know. It's hard because it's weird because I was reading about this author, and he's supposed to be one of like the granddaddies at the time of sci-fi, because it was like Arthur C. Clarke and H.G. Wells. So it's interesting to switch over to him, because as I was reading Starship Troopers, because I just came off of reading like 6 Arthur C. Clarke books in a row. So switching over to this, and H.G. Wells, I read like 7 of his books. So I just went ham on hard sci-fi. So to go to this, to me, where this is so military driven and philosophy of like how if you want your civilization to continue, you have to like, you know, this has to happen.
Second.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, if you want your civilization to continue out into space and like soar or whatever, you have to like, we all have to be together as one and like forget everything, and no matter how painful it is, you know.
You have to be ready to throw yourself on the grenade bug.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think it's ever gonna happen, because people are a mess. Like, we're a mess, and that's one of the beautiful things about, I think, you know, the human race, is that we are a mess, and I think that's why we are farther than we are right now, because we recognize other people's weaknesses and we're compassionate. Whereas in Starship Troopers, they're really like, I don't know, it's a little bit, Yeah, like I obviously having a new kid, I'm like, this is fucked. Like I know it was written in the
Yeah.
50s too, but like, you know,
I think like there's a thing though, like I don't think Starship Troopers was really written as a commentary on society.
mm,
I think it was written to be like, we need to look at, like, back to the nuclear weapons thing, and there's times to drop nukes and there's times to send people into combat.
that was really interesting. That whole thing. Because that's a hard
like,
argument to get into.
and even the Verhoeven movie, like, you remember like Starship Troopers came out like on the back of Desert Storm, which
Yeah.
was the shock and awe campaign. So it's easy to like turn around and say like, yeah, like that scene in Starship Troopers when they invade Klendathu, that is literally shock and awe. Like that whole thing where the transports are there and they're shooting rockets side by side
yeah.
and people are pouring out. Like that is the definition of shock and awe.
But then the bugs kind of use the shock and awe against them.
But that wasn't the place to do shock and awe. Like that was the
No.
place to turn that surface to glass. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? Like, so
in the book, I mean, they even said like, we could glass the planet, but then we got to go down there and clean it up. And what's the point? Like, let's just go down there and fight them.
So I do honestly think, I don't think Heinlein wrote Starship Troopers as like a commentary on like overall society, but like,
I don't know. I think
he
did. I think that he did. I think that's his opinion on everything, right? Like that's what I get out of the novel for my read.
Think about that first battle that we hear in the book. It's not a battle. It's just an assault, and all it is just basically a little revenge punch to the skinnies for giving away the location of Earth to the bugs.
Sully's like, what the fuck are you guys all talking about right now?
And they even said like, don't kill anyone if you don't have to. Destroy as much crap as you can. We're just here to make a statement, and that's like. That's saying the Federation's reactionary, not not precautionary. Like, you know, like the bugs, they're doing what's natural to them, but they didn't know where Earth was. Then they talked to the skinnies. The skinnies gave them the location.
Skinnies aren't in the movie, right? Like
they end up in the show.
Because I was confused about that. I was like, wait, the bugs are the arachnids, right? Like, what's going on? Who are the skinnies? It was so different from the book. I was like, not as a complete sidetrack. I do like the book. Whatever I think about reading it, that's why it's a controversial book, right? Like people have made careers over talking about this shit with Starship Troopers. That's why it's interesting, and I think that's why it's succeeded for so many years, is because you can read it and take away a lot. And I do like the book. I just think it's fucking crazy. The characters I thought that were really similar in the movie from the book was the teacher. I thought Michael Ironside was awesome. I could see him in the book, like when I was reading him. And Zim, for some reason, I couldn't remove that guy's face from
Clancy Brown.
Yeah, I was like, that's him, man.
When you read the book, were you surprised when Zim reappeared at the very end, and it turned out that he was really the hero of Planet P?
Yeah, I don't know. I wish, because he wasn't in like the last half of the movie, right? He doesn't make it past the training.
No, he does.
Does he? I can't remember.
He captures the brain bug.
Oh, that's right. See, I only got halfway through it last night.
Yeah, because Neil Patrick Harris was like, it wasn't a cool weapon. It wasn't the fleet. It wasn't even the mobile infantry. It was a drill instructor named Zim. And then everyone's like, oh, yay.
Neil Patrick Harris. What the fuck?
I tried to quickly find, but like, I don't know, like there is a thing about sci-fi that inspires counter books. So there's like a whole, I can't find the titles right now, like, you know,
My Little Pony.
But like there was like a whole like 4 or 5 different books that people wrote as direct responses to Starship Troopers.
Oh.
And they're all wrong.
Even one of them's like, it's the perspective of like diplomats trying to prevent like an intergalactic war. But in the end, it fails, and it ends up in the exact same space as Starship Troopers anyways.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like in Starship Troopers, they knew the bugs weren't going to negotiate. They tried. So they're like, okay, well, screw it.
In the book, though, they're smarter
right?
than that.
Yeah.
Like they're...
In the movie, when they did the opening and talking about how the bugs' mind works, they're like, they're not smart. They evolved. And it's like, but in the book, they're very smart and they have weapons. What? It was very confusing.
Well, yeah, and they have like space travel and...
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? This is so confusing, the differences here.
I just want to point out the cameos in the movie, because remember the biology teacher? she said, like, she's blind,
Yeah.
and she's saying about how the arachnids just fling their spores into space, and that's like just as good as regular space travel. And then I clued in. I'm like, oh my god, that's Blanche from the Golden Girls.
It is?
That's Rue McClanahan.
I was trying to figure out who she was. I was like, okay, they wouldn't have just cast anybody as her.
No, and like it's hard to tell with that heavy Southern accent she puts on in the show. But like I was watching, I'm like, wow. And then the sergeant at the entry desk, he's an actual bi amputee, but he was the coroner on CSI, the first series. Like it was crazy, and they always point out the fact that he has no legs, but he's still a coroner. So I was like, wow, they really worked hard to get good people for just the cameo stuff.
I think it's so underappreciated, the movie. Like when I was reading that it didn't do good, I couldn't believe that. Like that blows my mind. I think it would do really good if it came out today. It's too bad.
I think it's just because such a bit of time. Because from my perspective, this movie is just military propaganda galore.
That's the point.
It is. I mean, that's the point of the movie, but they really hammered it in. And
you should read the
only
book. It's
Yeah,
good
I
though.
know.
Like you should read it. It is a good book. It's very interesting.
Let's at least give him an audio copy.
Yeah, the audiobook is cool too. It's neat. It's very cool. I like the sound effects and stuff. It helps.
Is it weird to chuck out, like, I was thinking about this because like that guy did like a fan reading of the audiobook on YouTube that's free, so I don't know how it works with copyright laws.
No, we could link it in the
it's-
description.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
dude,
it's,
Let's get
Dead
him
Drop
copyright struck.
1972 on YouTube did a fan reading of it, and like, dude, he reached out. I was a member of like on a Starship Troopers fan page, and he reached out to me, and I was like, dude, this is fucking incredible.
yeah.
If you haven't listened to audiobook and you're the audio person, like just Dead Dropped 1972.
And I just want to say a shout out to Casper Van Dien, who will probably hear this at some point. So hey, what's up, man? Love to see you in the future.
How dare
He
you give
is
shout-outs.
actually
I'm kidding, I'm
incredible
kidding.
with the fanship. So like a great example of that is like I end up as like an administrator on one of the Starship Troopers Facebook pages, and like he reached out to me, and like he was cool. But then like they were talking about the shower scene, and there's like this urban legend that like they didn't really want to do it, so the
But
director
Verhoeven-
got
I heard
naked
this.
and did it with them. But Casper, like, actually in the comments was like, he just showed us his dick. He didn't actually get naked.
Could you imagine that happened today? The production would be shut down.
Dude.
Cody, have you seen Marauder?
Oh yeah. No,
So
I'm
in that movie, they actually go a step further in the nudity for the general like nudity scene.
Spoiler.
Like, oh yeah,
Bukkake? Like, what are we talking here?
no, like we're talking like you see all of Casper Van Dien, his pulse rifle and everything.
Is this
Yeah,
the
like-
animated one?
No,
Oh, really?
No,
this
it's
is like the direct-to-video one, but it's really good.
Oh my
yeah.
God.
Well, there were two kind of direct-to-video ones. The second one is more of a horror movie,
Yeah,
and then the third one was like when Casper Van Dien got really involved, and it was really fan-driven. And then I would say even the animated ones, like Casper Van Dien was like very involved and did like that was like all the stuff after the second one were very fan-driven.
That came out during the pandemic, didn't it? At the beginning, the animated one?
No, Marauder.
Didn't the
there's
one
two
with
Marauder
Daisy
was,
like
like,
come out where
mid-
she's like a ghost or an apparition in his mind or something?
So that's Trader of Mars, and like that
Yeah.
might have came out during the pandemic. There's a one in between that I think came out before. What is the what is that one?
Invasion,
Yeah,
where the bugs steal a ship.
and that is very much Final
Right?
Fantasy, like
You, ha-
super.
you have to suspend your beliefs and everything for a few minutes and like, huh,
Yeah.
the bug stole a ship. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think we're kind of getting close to our time. Like just to talk, lay out.
We
some
still got
behind the
15
scenes-
minutes.
Like behind the scenes stuff for the viewership. I think the logical way to do this is we do like this is a great. We've gotten there. I think the next one is the TV series because a TV series repents for a lot of the sins of the movie. Like it just gets back to like some of the stuff in the book, but it's still the characters you love from the movie.
I
Interesting.
think the best way to describe the TV show is Starship Troopers meets Band of Brothers.
That's a great description, actually.
Yeah,
That's what like
100%.
movies should be like more. They should just remake it and do a Netflix series that's close to the original
Matt,
material.
We agreed. Nothing needs to be remade. Nothing
I think
needs to
that
be
they should
remade.
remake it, and it
I
should be like a
mean,
10-parter. That would be
I
better.
mean, I mean, there's that recent game that's kind of like a satire of Helldivers 2 that is like kind of like one-to-one to like how Starship Troopers is portrayed, but more and more kind of a bit more of a comical sense, the extremes that people go to do for democracy for the or Super Earth or whatever. That's like the closest thing I can compare to that's like more modern standards, because that's what it's technically loosely based off of. And people were all down for it. People rallied up together to help destroy the evil bugs or the evil machines, and it was all pretty much based off themes from like Starship Troopers. So
Mhm.
so people are down for like an idea like that. So just obviously just people whether or not they want to take a controversial book up again, like so, and try to because people always would take it like when they want to do like adaptations. A lot of times they put their own interpretation into it,
True.
and yeah, it happens way more often than not. So it's hard
Yeah.
to really get a true adaptation of sorts, and people misunderstand the theme so often. Especially with this book in particular.
The director
So-
I
only
think
read
it's
the
actually
first two
okay.
chapters.
Like
Apparently.
it's okay to like like I don't know. No matter where you stand on like the Starship Troopers book, the Starship Troopers movies, it's fascist, it's Nazis, it's whatever you want to call it. You cannot argue how influential the topic was, like that book was on popular culture, whether they knew it or not. We can talk about Halo, we can talk about Helldivers 2.
Yeah.
Like we can talk about the books that people wrote in response to Starship Troopers.
Sure, yeah.
Like we can talk about the costumes, just the costumes alone from that movie. They made
Are
so
everywhere.
many friggin' costumes that they pop up in Firefly, Power Rangers.
We should get our
there's
hands
like this
on one.
whole, dude. I follow a Facebook page where people are selling the costumes all the time. Like whether it like that's the thing about sci-fi is you don't have to like it, but as long as it makes you think, like that is what the genre is for.
Yeah, that's why I think the book is good, even though I think it's batshit crazy. It is a good book. Like it's interesting. It's an interesting
It's like-
outlook.
Hold on. I just want to throw something to Cody. Cody, you know that those the MI helmets actually show up in Planet of the Apes as well.
The one with
The Tim Burton one, yeah.
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 Oh, everybody forgets about that one.
I
mean,
actually love that one.
I like the spacesuits in it. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like think about Ender's Game.
Yeah.
Like people are like, "Oh, Ender's Game's cool." In what world does anybody think it's okay to recruit child soldiers?
Yeah. John, you're
Oh,
hilarious.
sorry.
You need
sorry.
your own channel, I think, at this point.
No. No, I get banned so quickly.
It's like Minecraft, you know. The children yearn for the mines. Let's get them in there. Let's go.
Temple of Doom.
But I think that's like the like not to turn this into an Ender's Game podcast, but like Starship Troopers and like the whole thing is you're supposed to see like kind of the end result, and then
Yeah.
you decide if you agree with it or not. And like especially in
Well-
Ender's Game, you're supposed to be like, "This is not great."
Well, I mean, they recruit the same way in Ender's Game that they do in Starship Troopers. They know specific people are going to be good for specific jobs, so when they start looking for them, they look for those specific people. Like for pilots, they look for women with good math responses and stuff. So they know that kids are going to have quicker responses in Ender's Game and can think more quickly than adults. No?
The problem with children.
I love that this
Maybe
has
just
turned
tur-
into this direction. Like,
This turns into an anti-baby chats episode.
yeah.
No, like this is interesting because like I have this debate all the time. Children can't consent in the same way adults do, and we have
No,
agreed
you're-
across
you're-
that.
You're not
That's
wrong.
why, like, there's a weird thing in the world where we don't approve of child soldiers, and like child soldiers are like people in combat under the age of
Yeah.
18.
Yeah. Well,
Except
take
in
them to
NATO
church.
countries. Except in NATO countries where you can join the military at the age of 16.
Interesting.
Plus, we've also got cadets, which gets you a lead up to it.
That's
you know?
true. You get a number
Yeah.
then, right? We talked about that before.
Yeah. So that like I never had military service, but I did the air cadet thing, and I was too fat to fly.
See, cadets.
What? I don't know how
Yeah,
well I
no.
would do in military. I'm way too soft. They would probably destroy me. It would be.
No, there's so many tests now. They would actually find a job for you. It's literally like Starship Troopers. They would find a job for you that you could do.
Games.
But that's the thing is like this is not a recruiting podcast,
Yes,
but
it
there's a
is.
job for every it's just like the film industry. There's a job for everybody.
Yeah.
True. That's true. Put in those
Like-
hours.
There was a while ago when they were talking about drafting people, and someone said, "How's that work?" I'm like, "Well, here's the thing: if they draft you, they're gonna do medical, and then they're gonna say, what are you good at?' And then they'll actually give you a test, and be like, okay, yeah, no, you're good at adding, so you're gonna be an accountant."
But we do aptitude testing for everything. Did you guys not do aptitude testing in like high school?
So when I joined the military,
I
they
don't think
did,
so.
but it was kind of like the American SATs. So I scored like medium on my comprehension, but I excelled at my math, especially in my trigonometry. So they're like, "Oh, you're trigonometry and you want to be artillery? You're gonna go T-trig to them." I'm like, "Fuck, I just want to blow shit up."
But Sully, did you do like I don't know, like when I was I went to high school in rural Nova Scotia, and like literally a lady showed up with a bunch of laptops, and we all like everybody took turns sending down these laptops, filling out questions, and then it spit out a bunch of jobs that you were like, I don't know, you had aptitude for.
I definitely
I
did not do
remember
that.
this one. I scored for a deep core driller, and I'm like, no, that requires me to be on the ocean, so no.
Oh yeah.
That would be interesting and painful.
No, I'd be sick all the
But
time.
you'd be rich.
Dude, you could have been the Armageddon guys.
Yo.
I don't like the Earth that much. Let the rock hit.
Wow.
Neither did
This got
Steve
dark.
Buscemi in that movie.
Oh yeah, that's true. He went space crazy.
Oh, I'm the Steve Buscemi. I'm not the Bruce Willis. Okay.
So would
know how this
Space
works now.
Force become the Federation if the bugs infested today? Like, what would happen?
I think the bugs would just wipe us out in like one
Dude.
shot.
We've talked about this before. We still not have figured out a way to put people in space and like then have them as like a fighting force.
Hold
Yeah,
on, to
we'd be
quote-
fucked.
To quote that former president who we don't say his name, boobs on the moon in 2024. Oh, boots on
Did
the
he
moon.
say
sorry.
that?
No, it was a joke in Space Force where
God.
they misquoted him in one of his tweets when he was allowed to tweet, and it said
I
boobs on the
love
moon in
Barack Obama,
2024.
Yeah, I
How
don't
do
know.
I turn him off?
I don't
How do
think
I
we
turn
would
him off?
stand a chance. It's too bad.
It sounds terrible, but I like that the idea for anybody that hasn't read the book, or I don't know if it shows up in the TV shows or played Helldivers too. The idea is that each individual trooper's in a pod and essentially shot at a planet. Okay, good. No, and nobody's
Yeah.
frozen.
Yeah.
And honestly, I love that concept, and I could see that concept coming into effect someday.
Yeah.
But like, it is like there's no technology, like there's no way to keep people in space for that amount of time.
Well, hold on, wait. Unless Boeing makes the ship.
Oh, I knew you were gonna just bring that up in there. Just. Yeah.
Sorry, had to.
No, it's
So
fair.
the
It's
closest
fair.
thing like we have is some kind of rapid deployment. We're like such a like we're not even close to it, but like an idea that you could do like a short flight that just leaves the atmosphere, and then like it's like a rapid deployment thing, right? But
Yeah.
I mean the US has so many bases around the world that there's no need for it. So like there's nobody investing money in it right now.
We're so far behind, I think, at this point. We just kind of like got too comfortable decades ago, and I think that
Well-
it's biting us in the
well-
ass now.
Think about where 2001 thought we would be. Like, come on, we should have been to Jupiter by now, twice.
That would have been amazing. I wish I could live to see a Jupiter mission. That would be incredible. Let alone another lunar mission. Like, hopefully it even fucking happens. Jesus. Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress completely off Starship Troopers.
We're
really.
off Starship Troopers
No,
again.
no. Have we done a poll with like the Slush Facebook group or
Yeah,
anything? Like,
uh,
do we have
there's-
people?
There's polls on our there's polls on Spotify that are on there, and we can do ones on our Instagram as well and YouTube. I've asked some questions, but like not that many.
Because I'm like, do we like at some point do we throw it like do people want to hear the next chapter of the Starship Troopers saga? Although I think there's only one season of the cartoon, but you know
Oh,
we
we're
might need a little
doing
bit of time.
I don't care if they want to
Or,
hear
like-
it or not.
But what do they want to hear next? Do they want to hear Starship Troopers? Do they want to hear Jurassic Park? Or do they want to hear like
Super Troopers.
Super Troopers? Like there's a bunch of sci-fi stuff out there. Like if you haven't like Hail Marys up there, like I really want to do a thing with Hail Mary on it with you guys.
That would be fun.
Well, could we do an Andy Weir night? Like,
I'm gonna be reading that like really soon. I have so many fucking books.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Hail Mary is fire. Like it
That's-
is actually
That's
really
the Dune
great.
director's doing that. No. Who's doing that next?
I didn't hear who's directing it. Ryan Gosling is playing the dude.
Isn't the
Yo.
director of
He
La La
won't do.
Land doing it? I think.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I think it's the
Mary.
director of La La Land.
Hold
I could
on.
be wrong.
Hold
Hail
on.
Mary, like there's very few like sequels. It's not really a sequel, but it's like, oh, The Martian was great, and then like I think Artemis. I haven't read Artemis yet, but I think Artemis was like kind of like okay.
I have Artemis.
But Hail Mary is like, oh yeah, like very few people have two books that you're like, heck yeah, brother.
So, Hail Mary is actually being directed by
Fucking, I hope it's
Phil-
Paul Verhoeven.
I feel like he's
Phil
90.
Lord. Actually, there's two
Holy
directors,
shit.
Phil Lord and Christopher
That's
Miller.
right. They did the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah.
That's
How
wild.
could they go wrong?
Yeah, that's
Like,
gonna be awesome.
Hell yeah.
Since he brought him up, can we do a Verhoeven night? Because there's like 7-ish good movies we could talk about.
That would
And
be
then,
fun.
Wow.
I'd
Slow
love to do a
talking to the man.
RoboCop one. That would be really
Maybe
fun.
that's the poll. Is we like say, what Verhoeven movie do you want us to do next?
Showgirls.
Make sure Showgirls is on there.
I've never seen it.
I will loan you my special edition copy.
It just sounds weird. I feel like you're lending me porn.
No. It even comes with like fuzzy handcuffs and some pasties and.
Really?
See, I'm not even joking. That's what they sold it with back in the early 2000s, and I'm like, I need.
They
a copy
knew their
of that.
audience, you know?
Yeah.
When we had Sin City come out, I worked at Empire Theaters back then, RIP, and we gave out black condoms for it. I still have one. It's on the shelf. Sin City.
Here's
You have a tack right through it.
again,
I'm like, I
behind-
have a
behind
son
the
now.
scenes.
I don't know.
Here's what we have to do. We
Yeah.
all need to pick like one book/movie, like one genre thing, and just like do an episode about it.
We do
Even-
like a poll of whoever likes the book of our 4 picks, right? Something like that.
Yeah,
We'll just do them all. We can do this forever.
we can do them all.
Let's
Yeah,
do
we got time.
everything.
I mean, we
Can we
will
make a-
do them all, but it's like a poll to see which one's coming up next.
Oh.
Can we make
I
a
see.
rule that there's no hentai though?
Sully's
Yes.
gonna break that rule, though.
Hold on, wait, hold on. Let's take a vote right now. Who's for hentai?
Honestly, John, you're
No,
a
no,
hypocrite.
there
I'm
it is.
calling you out right now because you know who
Who's
brings up
against?
you know who brings up porn more than me? It's John. I just joke on it after
No.
he says it. You bring it up way more times than I do, my guy.
Is
No,
this
I-
an
no,
intervention?
If I do, it's consensual porn.
Wait, what do you what the fuck is that even supposed to mean? like, oh no, the hentai girl's being screwed by like another goddamn octopus. Goddamn. Like,
Wow.
Speaking of that, have you guys watched The Boys? No,
I've
that's-
never
Yes.
seen it ever.
I've only
I love
watched
that
season
show.
4. I've only watched season
We
4.
did a bunch of seasons of it, I think, in Toronto, but
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
kept
it's
they
not on
kept
The Boys.
they kept sending us behind the scene things. We had like the old newsletters.
It's out now, so I can talk about it. Will Ferrell does a cameo.
I heard
Yes.
I worked on those days.
Whoa.
But and it was wild because like BlogTO, so far away from Starship Troopers, BlogTO
So far.
and like all these like people online were speculating that they were shooting the Flash in Toronto and that Will Ferrell was like the anti-Flash, and like I couldn't believe that nobody figured out it was the boys.
Yeah.
Like it just blew my
I-
mind.
I mean, he was up with A Train, so it's kind of the Flash. I mean, it's not a big a stretch, but
But it was the TV show, like it was
Yeah.
a movie. So all
Yeah.
the they have like the real like production trailers, but they all say Vought Productions on. Like
spoilers.
Anyways,
Haven't seen
whole
it.
segue.
No.
It's-
it's been out for months.
I'm
yeah, it's
joking.
not
I've never
really-
seen The Boys. I think I started the first episode and I was like, oh, I need to go watch something else. I like it,
You
but I
know-
didn't catch
Bringing
me.
this full circle.
Ooh.
There's like tones of like The Boys is kind of not too far away from oh god, what's that other superhero anti thing with
And-
Rorschach? Watchmen.
Yeah.
You know where it's like the anti-hero thing?
Yeah,
And like there's themes in Watchmen that aren't that far away from Starship Troopers. Like
I get that vibe. I for sure can see that. I can feel that. I wish. Maybe we should look more into Starship Troopers because I know we're gonna do another. We're probably gonna do a couple of Starship Troopers episodes just to complete the whole universe of what's out there. But is there not more Starship Trooper stuff in media other than like the fan audiobook, the novel, like the shows?
Okay, so like here in North America, no. In Asia, oh yeah.
there's some comics and stuff too out there.
Yeah.
Aren't there? Like didn't Dark
Yeah.
Horse do us some comics?
Really?
Yep.
Okay,
But,
I can find those.
Over in Asia, there's like millions of miniatures for Starship Troopers. It's like, it's crazy. There's an RPG game. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Like, it's just over
Like,
here. It doesn't sell as much.
In
Weird.
like Warhammer, there's like, well, you know how those guys were
Yeah.
during the wars.
Yeah. Oh
Just
my
like
god,
this.
yeah. I know what you're on about.
But there is like a whole like Warhammer like set of like Starship Troopers.
That's
Mhm.
cool. That would be fun. I just feel like there must be something else out there because, like, when I did a deep dive into Alien, I found so much stuff that I never heard about over time. Tons and tons of stuff. Even things I only came across, and I've been a fan of Alien like my entire life. But even like during the pandemic, I came across stuff like I found the first Alien comic book. I didn't plan this; it's just next to me, and it's like Dark Horse was doing all the Alien comics, and then only like recently Marvel have been doing them. I
Yeah.
haven't bought any of the Marvel ones, but
There's
the
a
first
hard divide
Alien
in them.
the first Alien comic was actually done by Heavy Metal, and I have the issue, and it's
Oh,
fucking
dude.
amazing. And this was I had to get it off eBay, but like, you know, there's a lot of stuff I bet you for Starship Troopers that's out there that we haven't come across yet. Well, Cody might have because it sounds like he's in some pretty crazy groups over here. So just hanging out with Casper Van Dien. But yeah, we'll have him on the podcast.
Yeah, if you can get him to like pop in for a minute and say hi.
That would be crazy.
He is really like, honestly, like, it's a weird thing to say. He is really great with
Yeah,
like the
just-
fan viewership.
Just tell him it'll be great for his career. We have tens and tens of followers.
Millions. Millions.
It's just me on repeat at home, just like
You know, Sully could be running like a Bitcoin mining farm. Nope, it's literally just subscribers for us.
I will say, like credit where credit is due. Like Dark Horse is amazing.
Yep.
At like making comics for genre. Like there was also, like, not like, I'm also like, as much as I'm a Starship Troopers fan, I'm also like an Enderverse fan. And the second book in the Enderverse is Speaker for the Dead.
Yep.
And I think Dark Horse did a Speaker for the Dead comic that was like pretty crazy. Like
We
some
could talk
people
about
kinda got
that.
skinned. Like
Oh.
it's nuts.
The funny thing about Dark Horse is, as soon as they can make anything good from another universe, but as soon as someone makes something of theirs, it dies.
hmm
And I have only one example of that, and that's Barbed Wire.
I was gonna say Hellboy.
No,
I
because I had Barbed Wire for like Barbed Wire comics growing up as a kid, and then as soon as the Pamela Anderson movie came out, Dark Horse is like, you know what? That movie sucked. We're not doing Barbed Wire anymore.
Dark Horse,
And
I
that-
have the
that was
most of all my comic books. Like they're the main
Yeah.
reason I collect. I have during the pandemic, I actually went on a collecting spree, and I got almost all of the Aliens, Predators, and Alien versus Predators. I have like
Oh, that's cool.
tons and I have a library of them, like the original issues. I do want to do a Dark Horse series actually eventually.
yeah, but yeah, even the books that I was lending me and Matt, we were reading Berserk together. and
Yeah.
those are all translated from Dark Horse to be like those big omnibuses for everybody. So it's pretty much just a manga that's translated over to here. Also has failed adaptations, just like everything else with Dark Horse.
Is that it?
We
Is
went
that the
from
call?
Starship Troopers to fascism to child labor into Ender's Game into Alien, and Cora's there.
Ah! Hey, Corey.
Hey!
I was like, Cora, do you want to come on? We're talking about maybe a fascist book, and she's like,
Hell no.
no. It's just, I don't know. I'm joking. It's
He's already trying to decide and bent it up for service.
She has to do Ender's Game though, because that is like actual like child labor.
Here, let me do this.
Have to do what?
Can you hear it? That one?
Yeah.
She has to do Ender's Game because like that is like actual child
We
labor.
got Harrison
Like-
Ford on.
Yeah.
He was in the movie.
It's a
Dude, the books like even like the crazy thing about Ender's Game is like Orson Scott Card like wrote Ender's Game, which is like kind of tame enough for children, and then years later wrote another book called Ender's Shadow, which takes place at the exact same time, but like it's like Lord of the Flies, like kids are killing kids and shit, like it's wild.
Love it.
On the next episode of Baby Chats, Cody talks about child labor
That's
in
the-
books.
then
That's
it's like
the case, why
crawling
don't-
under barbed wire.
Yeah.
If that's the case, why don't we talk about the Hunger Games too? Because that's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
This is not
Yeah.
comfortable in my head.
Okay. Goodbye.
It's like digging into my skull.
You're married. Nothing's supposed to be comfortable anymore.
You're not
One of
wrong.
the charitable organizations I follow is like the Romeo Dallaire Child Soldier.
Just throwing that in there.
Just saying,
Wow.
shout out to the Romeo Dallaire Child Soldier Fund. Like, get out there,
Dear
get those kids out of
Lord.
combat.
Random mention. Does anyone ever watch the movie The Dictator?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Sacha Baron Cohen walks up to just some random guy from Nigeria in a market and goes, "You men, I need 20 child soldiers right now," and everyone's just kind of looking at him, going, and he's like, "What?" Like it's like so natural for him, and just like
This is a controversial episode. This might be our most controversial episode. It's awesome.
Anyways, if you want any more proof that we're fascist, go to this episode.
Cuts to me, and I'm
think-
like, I don't know.
if we're gonna go that way, remember, sign up for service. Service guarantees citizenship.
You know what's funny? There actually is something that's kind of like in the anime. There's an anime called Gate. It's supposed, the whole isekai genre of people being sent to another world. It's kind of like Alice in Wonderland, where they like people wander off and they're now in another universe of sorts. And this is the one where like a hole pops up in the middle, I think Tokyo, and a bunch of like orcs and knights are all invading, trying to like capture Japanese citizens and whatnot. And then the JSDF, the Japanese Defense Force, goes in with tanks and helicopters and shit, and completely wrecks home. Their magic doesn't stand a chance. Their little bows and spears don't stand nothing. Orcs don't stand a chance. And it's like
So
the most propaganda JSDF like thing you can get.
So what you're saying is it's an anti-Godzilla movie.
Because
She doesn't know what I'm talking about.
no, I don't. That is way harder than doing like seascapes. Like,
What is going on? We were doing Starship Troopers. Now we're talking about children's paintings.
Wait, are we recording again?
Yes, I've been recording the whole time.
well,
For
you're just
any-
mad.
For anyone that's just picking us up, we had a massive power outage on our recording end. So, Cody is out, as far as we can tell. He's been wiped off the face of the earth thanks to the bugs. Cora has gladly jumped in for the ending to say hi.
Yeah, I'm
Say hi, Cora.
crashing this podcast episode.
To say goodbye, really.
Yeah, you look
For a
like you
minute.
were from like the 50s or something.
I am.
Now he's going to go harass Marty McFly with Biff.
Dork thinks he's gonna drown.
Yeah, so I guess so we just talked for an hour and change about Starship Troopers. We lost a man in the battle.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
You got these two are gonna go watch a movie in 3D apparently.
You guys look like you're really here right now.
Look, if you were here, you would.
Yeah, we
be
got
able to
extra
join.
pairs. You guys want to come over?
We should do an episode where everyone's wearing these.
Yeah.
And we just don't acknowledge it. We just-
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Starship Troopers. We highly encourage everybody to check out the original movie, read the book. We're shamelessly plugging the video or the audiobook that is posted for free on YouTube.
I'll
Highly
put a
recommend
link to it in
checking
the
that out.
description.
I heard that the book
That
is
was
boring.
Wow.
Yo, duck and
See,
book,
she just
they're
comes in at
nerds.
the end and just destroys everything.
See, now I feel bad for inviting her.
Cody's missing all the good stuff.
I know. So that was episode. What was it?
45.
45.
45.
Yep.
So, Cora, do the closing for us.
All right, that was episode 45. We're talking about Starship Troopers. Make sure you subscribe and like. We're on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Ah!
That's pretty much what Sully does.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
True.
Bye, everybody.
Out of all of you, Cora's getting the best at it.